with Jesse, so he surprised me with this beautiful bouquet. Some of them are Australian natives, so they'll actually dry really nicely as well. So I thought, in the spirit of our anniversary, and whilst I put these into a vase, I'll share a little story on how Jesse and I actually met. I think it's a really beautiful story, and I think you just never know when you're going to meet someone. I'm a sucker for a love story, so I always love to share. So there's a little bit of a backstory to how we met. I was living in Cairns at the time, and I just finished uni and was ready to go on a one-way ticket to Europe. I had already quit my job, sold my car, my bags were packed, and it was the day that I was ready to go to the airport. This was the beginning of 2020, and everything was a little uncertain about what was happening with COVID. I delayed my flight, and surely enough, a couple of days later, Australia had actually closed their borders. So I was kind of just left feeling, well, what now? I don't have a job, I don't have a car, what am I going to do? So I was kind of just waiting it out. You know, I think nobody really knew what was happening, and I waited a few months and I was like, I'd better set myself up again, so that's kind of what I did. So I applied to go to uni again to continue my studies in the Sunshine Coast. So I started looking for a place to live, and at the time I was looking for a place with a friend, and we were trying to rent out an apartment, just the two of us. But we, despite both of us having good incomes, we just kept getting knocked back. There was a bit of like a rental crisis happening at the time, and I was like, I really need somewhere to live because I'm starting uni in a few weeks and I have nowhere to live. So I hopped onto Flatmates, and I put in what I wanted, which, you know, I want a room for this much money per week, preferably near the water, preferably with some people my age, with similar interests. And this girl messaged me and she said, hey, I think we have what you're looking for. Would you like to FaceTime? And we FaceTimed. I met all the roommates. We got along really well, and yeah, I got the place, and a couple of weeks later I was moving down and she messaged me. She's like, hey, I know you're going to be tired when you get here, but it's my brother's birthday. Would you like to come? And I said, sure, why not? I don't know anyone in the Sunshine Coast. This will be a great way to meet some people. Yeah, so I drove down. It took me 2 days to drive. I arrived at 4:30 on Friday, and at 6:30 was her brother's birthday dinner in Noosa. So I didn't even unpack. I just had a shower, got changed, got back in the car and drove up to Noosa. And surely enough, her brother is Jesse, and we spent the entire night sharing a meal together and talking, and the rest is kind of history. That was 4 years ago now. And the really beautiful thing is, in a couple of weeks, we're actually heading off on a one-way ticket to Europe and the UK. So I'm still getting to live out my dream of traveling, and I get to do it with my best friend, my fiance, and I just think you never know when you're going to meet someone. At the time, and I think it's just a real sign that even when things don't seem to be going your way, it does happen for a reason, and you just have to trust that it is happening for a better purpose. You know, when I couldn't go traveling and I'd saved and everything for 4 years, and it was, you know, and then the borders closed, and at the time it felt like a disaster. I was so heartbroken because it was something that I'd wanted for so long. And yeah, and then, but you know, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have met Jesse, and I wouldn't be living here in the sunny coast in a beautiful place to call home. And yeah, so I just think that you have to trust that everything truly does happen for a reason, even though it doesn't seem like it, it truly does. Yeah, so I think hopefully this might be a sign for you that if things aren't going your way, or you just have to trust that this is happening for a reason. You just have to persevere and follow your heart and your gut. And if you have yourself, if you have a lovely story on how you and your partner met, please share it below, because I love reading love stories. They're my favorites. Anyway, I'll stop babbling, and I think I need to get these into some water. And I actually found a recipe online that you can add stuff to the water to make them last longer. So I'm going to try and hunt through my pantry and find the ingredients, and we'll make it together. The recipe that I found for flour food is a quart of water, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, a tablespoon of sugar and a teaspoon of bleach. I should have everything, but I'm not so sure about the bleach, so let's go and take a look for that. So I don't have any bleach, but I did read that you can use apple cider vinegar, so hopefully that works instead. So I've decided to just halve the recipe because I don't want to put too much water in the vase. So I'm just going to do half 500 ml of water, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and we have 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. So what I read was that the sugar is the food for the flowers, and the bleach, or in my case apple cider vinegar, is to keep away any like fungi or mold and things like that. So I would think that putting bleach in flowers is just crazy, but apparently it works. Okay, let's do that a little stir. Also reading keeping flowers cold is the best way to make them last longer, but honestly in this Australian heat that is quite hard to do unless I have the aircon on all the time, which I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pop these somewhere nice, and it's such a beautiful day, so I think we'll make a nice fresh salad for lunch. Okay, so we've got some thinly sliced seasoned zucchini. This is so yummy. We've got some almonds and pepitas in here, cherry tomatoes, avocado, cucumber, red onion. This is some tofu and chickpeas and lime. And then we'll probably just mix all of this together, get some herbs from the garden, olive oil, salt, pepper, just keep the seasonings quite light because we've got plenty of flavors going on here.